Hey guys, I am on time as promised. Welcome to the Knit by Day podcast. If you are new here, my name is Deja. You can find me on Instagram at Knit by Day or on Ravelry at Days Jam. We are in a slightly new place this afternoon. Typically I have you over along my stash wall, which is kind of in what could be a dining room if it had enough space to incorporate a dining room table, which it doesn't. And today we are over in my living room. The lighting was a little bit better over here. It's kind of dark over in the little yarn cave. And I figured because we're moving soon and things are going to be getting pushed around, you might as well get used to a change of scenery. And so we are over on my big blue sectional, which actually stretches across the entire living room. It was a wonderfully thoughtful birthday present this year, actually, that Christian got me, and we just love it. It's velvet, so Weston, my dog's white hair, just comes straight off of it, and it's so comfortable. In fact, some nights we have couch nights where we just kind of sleep on the couch and watch TV, which is a lot of fun. Anyway, I digress. Let's talk knitting. So for the last couple of weeks, you guys will have seen in the last episode, I was fairly monogamous with my knitting, but monogamy is boring. So this week, I actually have several different projects to share with you. Some are new, actually most are new. So let's go ahead and get right into it. The first thing we're gonna start with is, well, let's talk about what I'm wearing first. So here is my wonderfully cropped summer sorrel tee. I will have worn this on the podcast before, so it may look familiar to some of my older viewers. It's got this gorgeous little, let's see how well I can show this. It has this gorgeous little raised motif down here. Really simple, otherwise this is just like garter stitch through the rest. Like I said, wonderfully cropped, super summery and flowy. The pattern is actually by Wool and Pine, and the yarn is Hello Stella in her colorway Prism, which is just a stunning colorway. In fact, I don't think that she has it in the shop. She kind of struggles to keep it in stock when she does have it for updates. So I don't know how easily you can get your hands on it. If you ever do get a shot at it, it is just gorgeous colorway, lovely to work with. And yeah, that's what I'm wearing. Perhaps one of my favorite pieces in my wardrobe, and it goes great with almost anything I choose to put it over, be it jeans, shorts, dresses, whatever. So yeah, Summer Sorrel by Wool and Pine. Highly recommend the pattern. And they do have a long sleeve winter version. I think it's just called the Sorrel Sweater. And I believe it's knit with mohair. I've been really wanting to knit it, but I haven't found the right yarn for it. And I really want it to be a gorgeous, like, deep green color, I believe. So we will see. That will come eventually. Next up is what could have been a finished object, what was a finished object, and then tragedy struck, and we have what we have. This is my pink velvet sweater, as many of you have seen in the last several episodes, actually. And it is almost done. So what happened was actually it was blocking. I put it on the blocking mats to dry. I was so excited to even put it on for this podcast. I went to go try it and I realized the hem was too tight. It being a tubular bind off, it wasn't exactly an easy fix. So what I ended up having to do was pick up stitches right before the ribbing, because that's where I knew I could pick them up most accurately. And then I actually just cut the hem off. So here we are at the very bottom of the sweater, right where I'm getting ready to once again start the ribbing. And this cable's a little bit short, but my chiagos were all I had handy, so you had to use what you have handy. And so I guess I'm going to go through, re-knit the ribbing, and then the tubular bind off, while it leaves a gorgeous clean edge, and I love what is usually a really stretchy bind off. While I love it and I love the edge that it gives me, I just do not have the patience to do it a second time on a fingering weight sweater that is probably close to 200 stitches. So I think what I'm going to do is just go up a couple of needle sizes and very loosely bind off with your standard slip-on pullover type of bind off, and we'll see how it goes. Fingers crossed that next week it is finished and the hem fits well, because the rest of the sweater was just a wonderful fit. It hit straight at my hips, which is where I love all my sweaters to hit. The sleeves were a little bit long so I could pull it over my hands. The shoulders fit great. I mean, all in all, love the fit of the sweater, love the sweater in its entirety. It was just that hem. And I think it had to do with the fact that this yarn doesn't have a lot of give, paired with it's a fingering weight yarn, which honestly usually doesn't have a lot of give to begin with. And so, yep. If you guys have any other suggestions on really stretchy bind offs that aren't as intricate as the tubular, I would really appreciate it, actually, so that maybe we can get this going the second time. So that is almost finished objects. Up next, my other project that I was pretty monogamous with previously, and that is the design I had been working on. This is my shawl. Try to show you the correct side. And I did probably another section of it. So the last time we spoke, I would have been underneath this white main color brioche section right here probably. I did a full brioche and then did some more fading. And that's it. This has been a lot of fun to work on because it is just the right amount of brioche and garter stitch so that you get a little bit of interest with knitting brioche and getting into the flow of that. And right when you get into the flow of that, you do get to switch to garter stitch, and it's just knit, knit, knit back and forth, which is so nice to have when you're watching Netflix, or in my case, watching Christian play video games. And yeah, it's a lot of fun. This yarn I will have talked about several times. This is Magpie Fibers in Ghost Town, and I made a mistake last time. This is Bien Aimee, and this is the sand sock. And I think they go gorgeous together. Next, we have things you will not have seen. So the first thing that I cast on after the podcast last episode is a pair of Scrappy socks. So I had a ton of yarn left over from that Caldana that I had shown off on the last podcast, and I thought the yarn was gorgeous and went so well together. So I put them in a pair of Scrappy socks. I'm just kind of fading one into the other as I go. As you can see, it's a toe up sock, just making it up, not really making it up as I go along. It's a simple vanilla sock, so just doing what I know to do next when I feel like it. And so I have all the heel stitches, and so we're gonna have to do the gusset and get that heel in there. I think I'm gonna make the heel a yellow. There will still be kind of pinks and yellows from there. And that's all I have to say about that one. The yarn is super soft. I'm going to love having them. I believe there'll be a pair of shorties simply because that tends to be my preferred sock. I don't love socks that go way up my calves. I think that has to do with years and years of soccer and the insane discomfort in having super, super tight socks with shin guards around your calves. And yeah, I just don't want to relive that. The next thing I cast on is actually, oops, get it all straight, another baby sweater. So you can see here, I'm currently working up the body. The sleeve stitches are on hold. This is the Flax sweater. I do omit the Flax has like a little garter panel going down the sleeves. I tend to omit that and just knit it all in stockinette because it's easier. Usually when I'm knitting a baby sweater, I just kind of want to knit and not worry about having to purl here and there and when and why. And so just stockinette little baby sweaters, they're my favorites. You will have seen several of them if you were a returning viewer on the podcast, but we are actually going to a gender reveal party this weekend. Two of our really close friends are having a baby, and so we get to figure out the gender this weekend, which is super exciting. It will also mean another trip to Asheville, which we go quite often because one, they're up there, and two, it's the closest mountain we have, and we do love going to the mountains, and so we take the trip up there whenever we get the opportunity. So unemployment must be getting to me because this week I actually did something slightly unexpected. I got a craving for crochet, which I don't really know how you get a craving for something that you don't do, that you've never done, but I did. And so I went to the yarn store because I didn't want to, I don't usually keep acrylic yarn on hand. I usually have animal or plant-based fibers, and I didn't want to use expensive, nice yarn to crochet simply because I don't crochet. I wasn't even sure if the project was going to be something I did for more than a row. So I went to Joann's and I got the Lions brand Madala yarns. So that's them. They're really, really pretty. A few thoughts on this yarn and then I will show you what I'm working on. So I really, really do enjoy this yarn actually. Those who knit with plant and animal fiber often will definitely be able to feel the acrylic, the difference, but this, unlike most acrylic, is actually pretty soft and it doesn't have quite as much of a like plasticky feel to it, which is really nice. The colors, like I said, are gorgeous. I love their colorways, and so yeah, I have actually really been enjoying it. The one thing I will say that I was not impressed with is these are, believe it or not, these are the same colorway. So when you buy a cake of the yarn, which is really cheap, great price point, $3 a cake, I think. But when you go to buy the yarn, you like pick your color scheme, but the colors aren't necessarily in order. So my plan was originally to hold the two together and kind of just to increase the weight a little bit, but as a result of them not really being, the colors not really being in order, I ended up with marled colors, which is fine. It's just not what I was hoping for. So this is the start of a very humble crocheted blanket. And you may be thinking, but Deja, you already have a knit blanket that you've given no attention over the last couple of months. And to that I say, mind your business. I actually really can't believe that I am do you say casting on for crochet? I don't know. I too cannot believe that I am starting another whip that is a blanket when I still have not finished my habitation throw. But you know what? It is what it is. We're gonna let it go. I wanted to crochet, and crochet is what I'm doing. So actually this was the result of a couple of hours, which I'm pretty impressed with myself. I mean, it's about the size of my hand. Yeah. And like I said, that yarn is a great enough price point that I might just knit/crochet all of my blankets out of it. $3 a cake I will take, even if the colors are not in order, because really what more can you ask for $3, right? And that's it as far as whips. So 3 new projects, one project still grooving, and another one that should have been finished but is not, and that's okay. The last thing I want to talk about before we get into the life bits, I really just want to show it off. This month's Patreon from Molly of a Homespun House. I love being a Patreon, and in fact I saw that she added another tier to her Patreon account. So with the tier that I'm on, which I believe is maybe $25, $30, you get 3 mini skeins per month, along with videos of the family and blog posts and all kinds of great stuff. But also she added this other tier, which is $50 a month, and you get 3 mini skeins and then I think another like full skein of yarn plus a weekly Zoom call. So that's awesome. If I was not in the middle of moving and switching jobs and everything else, I might have to jump on that. That being said, let's talk life stuff. This week, Christian had his last day where he physically has to be in the office, and so the rest of the time is going to be spent at home finishing up his dissertation, which is cool because that means we get to spend a lot of passive time together, which has been really great so far. He does have his post-wedding bachelor party coming up next week, so because of COVID and schedules and everything else, he did not get to go on a traditional bachelor party, and so this upcoming week he and all of his groomsmen are going to the woods to do some backpacking and camping and backpacking and camping and hiking and all the stuff that Christian is known for loving, so that should be a lot of fun for him. I'm really excited. And then that means also that I get a lot of knitting, reading, hanging out with friends, alone time, which is kind of cool for an introvert. Sometimes even being around your husband can be nice to get some true alone time, you know? So I'll probably take myself to a coffee shop or two and do a little bit of dating myself, which I love to do. So I'm excited for that as well. And then I accepted a job offer yesterday. So I had applied and interviewed for a position with a nonprofit called Rise Up Reno. They are a nonprofit in Hutchinson, and they work with drug and alcohol prevention in the high schools. So most of what I'll be doing is hanging out with high schoolers, doing some cool community engagement activities. And then I have the opportunity to kind of start some of my own projects and the like, which is really exciting. As many of you already know, I have spent the last 3 years as a clinical social work in a treatment setting, which has been really, really great. However, I have been missing the nonprofit world and kind of doing a little bit more program management stuff. And so I'm really excited to dive back into that and actually kind of fill some holes, some gaps in my resume, a couple being like social media, which I have a little bit of experience in, but not a ton, fundraising, project management, stuff like that. So it'll be a really, really cool opportunity. And I am one of 3 employees, so I am super excited to kind of, get involved in a little team/family. I think it'll be a lot of fun for me. The executive director, when we were talking about the position, also told me that we are arriving at the perfect time because we are a block from the Kansas State Fair, and it will be rolling around the time that we move, which is really, really cool. I love a state fair, and so I think it'll be a really cool time to move in and see Hutchinson, Kansas in real life and get to participate in the festivities. So yeah, really excited about all of that. Here we are. It's an adventure. I'm definitely ready for it, actually. So rest of the time will be spent slowly packing things up, knitting, and spending time with my family. One thing I am a little bit nervous about, this is the furthest I will ever be from my family. I don't think I have, aside from my short time living in DC, I've never lived more than an hour from my parents, which is just crazy. So that will be something new for me. We'll see how that goes. I think with the move coming up and everything kind of moving around a little bit, what I may do is maybe an Ask Me Anything episode. That way I can record it beforehand and release it on one of those days where I may not necessarily have the time and the space to be able to record and post a full knitting episode in one sitting. So I will have a couple of comment boxes on Instagram, and feel free to comment on the YouTube below. It's just really ask me anything you want. It can be about knitting, it can be about social work, it can be about me and my personal life. Feel free, and then hopefully we have a lot to talk about on that episode, should it be the next one or the one after, we'll see. Anyway, that's it. I hope you guys have a wonderful time. Until I see you next, happy knitting.